This is TechCrunch. Well, autonomous military aircraft maker Shield AI has raised $1.5 billion in Series G funding at a $12.7 billion post-money valuation. That's according to a company announcement last week. Now, the deal was led by PE firm Advent, which has a $1 billion budget to invest in defense tech, it says, and a JP Morgan Chase investment group. In addition, Shield AI sold $500 million of preferred shares to funds managed by Blackstone and also lined up a $250 million loan that it can draw on later. This capital is helping Shield acquire Echelon Technology, maker of flight simulation tech used to train U.S. military pilots. Terms of that acquisition were not disclosed. The new round comes after Shield raised $240 million at a $5.3 billion valuation back in March of last year. That means its value leaped 140% in 1 year. Now, there's a good reason for that. Shield AI's HiveMind autonomy software was selected in February as a provider for the U.S. Air Force Collaborative Combat Aircraft Drone Prototype Program. Interestingly, Shield's software was selected to work with competitor Anduril for its Fury autonomous fighter jet. Anduril, of course, has its own software called Lattice to command its Fury aircraft, but the Air Force clearly doesn't want to be locked into a single vendor for the whole stack of its next-gen warfighter drone fleet. Still, Anduril will hardly be fazed by sharing some of the spoils. It last raised $2.5 billion at a $30.5 billion valuation back in June, and word on the street is that it's looking to raise up to $8 billion at a $60 billion valuation. The space solar power startup launched by Robinhood co-founder Baiju Bhatt called Aetherflux is in talks to raise $250 million to $350 million for a Series B round that would value the company at $2 billion. The fundraising was first reported by the Wall Street Journal, which said that Index Ventures is leading the deal. Aetherflux has collected about $80 million since its founding in 2024. Aetherflux declined to comment. Now, Aetherflux has shifted focus in recent months as it pushed its power-generating technology towards space data centers, de-emphasizing the transmission of electricity to the Earth with lasers that was its starting vision. Space companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, StarCloud, and others are now developing novel architectures for distributed compute in space. Bhatt joked in an interview with TechCrunch last week that, let the record show we never lifted our pivot foot. It wasn't a travel. Well, the light bulb went off about a year ago, apparently, that actually if you wanted to power AI with the technology that we were thinking about, it would be much more advantageous to actually put the chips in space rather than project the power from space down to a terrestrial data center. While the company plans to continue its experimentation in laser power transmission on a satellite bus built by Apex Space, the company's first data center satellite is expected in 2027. Bhatt said, "Our goal is to build something that competes with terrestrial economics. That will not be easy." That's it from TechCrunch. For more stories like these, go to TechCrunch.com.